We're in the middle of Lecha Daidi. So let's open that up again. We're on page 317. Well, there's a few stanzas here. We saw last time the holy place of the king, the city of the kingdom, the whole city of Jerusalem. Get up and leave your destroyed condition. It's enough time sitting in the valley of tears. Baruch Hu will have mercy on you. And then there's another one about Jerusalem. And there's one of the great Hasidic commentators, the Sfas Emes, sees a certain poetical idea here. If you take that verse, the third verse, the holy, how do they say it? The sanctuary of the king. So where's my mind? I'm thinking of the city of Jerusalem. I'm thinking about the fact that it's been destroyed, that it hasn't been restored, saying that it should be uplifted. And I explained last time that our hearts go out to it because we have the Jewish soul and the holiness and time of Shabbos, and we don't have the holiness of place. And with 2 out of the 3, we long for the third to complete the synergy of having all 3 together. That's why we ask for it. We know very well we can't rebuild Jerusalem or rebuild the temple on Shabbos, but we're longing for it at that time. Okay, and then we say the refrain, "Come, my beloved, to greet Shabbos." Greet the bride. The presence of Shabbos we should accept. So, poetically, how do you put those together? Okay, it's Friday night, and you're accepting Shabbos, and you're thinking about the temple. That's fine. And a poem that talks about meditating on what it would be like if we had the temple and how much we missed the temple. That's fine. Okay, good. But then you have the refrain, "Let's go greet Shabbos." What's that? How does that fit in? How do you make the mental transition? So the Sfas Emes is famous for saying, and this that you are missing, Shabbos makes up for it. Shabbos itself can contribute some piece of it or some aspect of it so that you can take comfort in Shabbos as possessing some of it. That's how you read the refrain after the stanza tells you what you're supposed to be meditating on. So, first, in this case of the Mikdash, where the holiness is written into it, Mikdash means holy place. And the aspect of Shabbos that you have is that Shabbos is holiness in time, which can correspond to holiness in place. Time, space, and soul, as we said, are the 3 dimensions of the creation, and each has its focus. And having 2 out of 3 has it's like a two-edged idea. On the one hand, if I have 2 out of 3, I missed the third one because the third one could have made it complete. And on the other hand, I have 2 out of 3. So even though I don't have the third, having 2 out of 3 is having a grasp on the holiness potential of the various dimensions of the world. And that's how you could have some compensation in Shabbos for the fact that you don't have the Mikdash. Now here, for those who know some Hebrew, there's a trap. His nari me afar kumi. How do you punctuate it? Where do you put the comma? And I hear many people sing, "Me afar kumi, get up off the dirt." But that's dead wrong. It's his na'arim afar, comma. Shake yourself off, shake the dirt off yourself, comma, kumi, and get up. It's not me'afar kumi. This happens to be a verse as well. And the article translates it absolutely correctly. Shake off the dust. Arise. So the picture here is that the city is covered in dirt. And I know sometimes the English, because you don't want to say dirt, because, I don't know, dirt sounds dirty, it's just not poetical to say dirt. So you say dust, but in Hebrew, dust is avak, not afar. Afar is dirt. And the city's covered with refuse. It's destroyed. So shake it off. Shake off the dirt. Arise. Don your clothes of glory, my people. So here, it's not so much the city anymore, but it's the Jewish people in exile and in compromised circumstances. And as we know very well, you can be in compromised circumstances right here in the land of Israel also. Through the son of Yishai, that's David, and came from Bethlehem, draw close to my soul and redeem it. So here we're talking about the people of Israel who are in exile. And the same thing is true, that bringing the people together gives a dimension of God's presence that when we're scattered we don't have. First of all, as you probably know, when, as is now, the majority of Jewish people don't live in the land of Israel, certain laws don't apply deraisa. The laws of the holiness of the land of Israel don't apply. The agricultural laws, for example. The fact that a law doesn't apply means that, so to speak, Kadosh Baruch Hu's investment in the place is very much reduced. If the laws apply, it means every action that we do performs a direct act of divine will and enables us to raise the world and draw new divine energy to the world, and we don't have that. But Shabbos is our home in time. So we don't have our home in space, but we do have our home in time. And that's teaching you how you should look at Shabbos, the refrain. We're coming to greet Shabbos because Shabbos makes us at home in time. The next verse, next page. Wake up, wake up. This is a very striking, what? It means you're asleep. You're really sleeping. I want to show you something. Here we go. Good. On page 183, when we bench, it's very common to say Shir Malos. Certainly on Shabbos you say it, you sing it before you bench. Now, the very first verse says, a song of ascents, when Hashem will return the captivity of Zion, we will be like dreamers. So usually say, what we're going to see when we come back to Eretz Yisrael, we come back with, it could be before or after the Mashiach, we've said that many times, but when we come back to Eretz Yisrael, the return is going to be with open miracles and glorious revelations and all the rest. It'll be like we'll be in a dream. That's the normal way to take the verse. But there's another way to take it. When we come back to Yerushalayim with the final ingathering of the exiles and the final revelation of Hakadosh Baruch Hu's presence, then we will realize that in the past we were dreamers. We'll be like people waking up from a dream. That will be in a dream then. You know what it's like? It's like when people say, when you leave yeshiva and go out into the real world, No. Yeshiva is the real world. It is the real world. And that's a world full of illusion and full of mistake and misinterpretation and misunderstanding and disillusionment. Here is the real world. There it'll be like waking from a dream. It's as if we're dreaming now. And that's what it says here in the Dovid. Wake up, wake up! It's not that you're late for minyan, when you ignore the alarm clock. Get you out of your REM state. But you're walking around like a dreamer. You don't know what's going on. Your eyes are closed. It's a beautiful thought in the Shir HaMalos. For your light has come. And then say two beautiful, absolutely beautiful words. And I know people who misunderstand this. Kumi, get up. And they read, Ori, my light. No, Ori is a command. Shine. You should shine. Not just the light will be outside of you and illuminate everything around you and you'll see it correctly. But you have a light. You have an inner light. And that light should shine also. Means your sleepwalking nature blinded you even to the light that you have internal to you. And again, awaken, and utter a song. The glory of Hashem will be revealed upon you. It is revealed upon you. Now, I just want to comment here. The word shir in Hebrew does not mean music. The word shir means poetry. Shir and shira both mean poetry. And poetry is an absolutely crucial element of the Torah. Chizkiyahu, one of the last kings of the first temple, saw the downfall of Sancheriv. Chazal tell us that he didn't say shira. He didn't compose a poetical description, a way to capture the event. And because he didn't compose that poetical way to capture the event, he didn't become the Mashiach. Otherwise, he would have become the Mashiach. So I guess poetry is very important. And whether it means that he didn't compose it, or it didn't mean that it means that it wasn't worthy, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu should have given him the Holy Spirit to compose it, either way, the poetry didn't come into existence through him. And that's why when you say the Psalms, the Tillim, when you have a psalm that's entitled Mizmor Shir, it's not redundant. Mizmor means music. Shir means poetry. Mizmor Shir means something which is in poetry and was sung and played with music. It was a musical poem. The poetry has the ability to capture the essence of something in a way that other forms of a description do not. What it is exactly, I don't know. I can't comment. I don't understand poetry in general well enough. I certainly don't understand what Shira is in the Torah to do it, but it is absolutely crucial. When the sea split, the Jewish people said Shira. We say that every morning. That's Shira. So it's an absolutely crucial move. And it's saying to you, to the Jewish people, when this happens, that you will, again, another awakening to say Shir. So first of all, you have to awaken to register the events altogether. And then to capture the events in Shir requires another awakening. And I will add in here just a little broadly based comment. This idea of awakening, being asleep, being out of touch with things that are real, is a common idea not only in Yiddishkeit, which you find in many places, but lahavdil, it's an idea that you find in other religions as well, especially religions that have something which you would call a mystical dimension, especially in the Far East. But here, and this is absolutely typical for Judaism, when you achieve that awakeness, you use it to utter words. You don't blank out your mind and blank out your logic and become, disconnected from. On the contrary, you use the words better. You don't turn your back on words. You don't turn your back on understanding. You don't turn your back on your intellect. You use it better. is an utterly different approach than certain other mystical traditions. Where you have a description in the Shulchan Aruch of a kind of mystical state is where he talks about the condition that your mind is in when you say the Shemona Esrei. You forget where you are, forget what's around you. You can become disconnected from the whole environment. Your mind is focused on being in contact with some way with the Creator, right? And you say the words of the Shemona Esrei. You don't abandon words. You don't abandon understanding. The words of Shemona Esrei come from the Tanakh. They come from prophets. You think about the prophets who said them. You think about what their meanings are. Your mind is working, not short-circuited into meaninglessness. There's a fundamental difference between the way we look at things and the way they look at things. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, the gematria of Shira is the same one as Teffilah.
The gematria of Shira is the same as?
Teffilah. It's 515.
Really? Isn't that interesting? Wow. No, same as Tefillah. Very good. Okay, very good. And then, on Shabbos we have a lot of that. We say a lot of Shira on Shabbos. So again, like the Sfas Emes says, if you look to Shabbos for this, so what about the Shira I'm going to say when the Mashiach comes, when Kodesh Baruch Hu is more revealed to us and we awake and so on and so on? There's an aspect of it on Shabbos as well. Now, this maybe I'll talk about some detail. May your oppressors be downtrodden. Yes, in greeting Shabbos, we can ask for that as well. And all those who devoured you or want to devour you should be cast far off. So the Chadodi is very realistic. A lot of maybe I'll take you through some of the songs on Shabbos. Some of them have very bitter descriptions of the lives that Jews were living. We do not hide our eyes from the world. We're not afraid to look the world straight in the face and to understand it. And the enemies should depart and take their place. Your God should rejoice over you like the rejoicing of a groom's rejoicing over his bride. It's like a wedding. That indeed what we call Shabbos, right? In the refrain we call Shabbos a bride. So, although the references now are shifted, but at any rate, we're looking forward to the time when we'll be reunited with the Kodesh Baruch Hu like at a wedding. And it says, He will rejoice over you. It doesn't say you will rejoice over Him. This is a very deep idea. Where is my mind? What am I thinking about? What's wrong with the condition that I'm in? What do I lack? What do I need? So, if I'm making a list of things that I need, I have a real long list. Peace, and peace that carries with it a Kiddush Hashem, as we've said, that it should have a sanctification of God's name, and mutual reconciliation between disagreeing Jewish groups, and respect and appreciation from the Goyim, instead of the blindness and obscene insanity that they are preaching. They should understand how the world works and our place in the world. That's my list. All of those things that I just listed are me and my and mine and ours and us. If you made a list of things like that, that's your list. The onlooker could say, I got it. You live and you have your values and you have your projects and you have your vulnerability, you have your dangers, and God is your sugar daddy in the sky who gives you the things that you want. If you do the right things, He'll give you what you want. Do you care about Him? Do you care about Him? No, He's just got the keys to the warehouse, You need various things to make your life better, and He's the one you ask for them because the Nefesh HaChaim, I quote this all the time, says, what's the worst thing in doing a transgression? The worst thing that you can do in a transgression is to create the occasion on which HaKadosh Baruch Hu punishes his children. Not punishes you. Who are you? In this picture, you're nothing. He has children. It's a horrible thing for a parent to have to punish his children. I don't want to do something that would make HaKadosh Baruch Hu punish his children, giving what it means to him. That's when I'm identified with him, instead of thinking only of myself. Here, what we're looking forward to is that he should rejoice on us, instead of being in pain over us, or being disappointed in us, or God forbid, being angry at us. He should rejoice on us. Because when I think about his pain as the creator and as the father who doesn't have what he wished for from his children, that's a terrible pain. And I'm looking forward to the time when he will have pleasure on us. The point of view here is very deep. I like the rejoicing of a chosar rekala, our picture of bridegroom, man and wife or married, is that each is missing without the other. This is a really gigantic statement. It's a general statement. I told you once what Rabbi Shapiro said about being a king. Our sources, at least some, say, Ein melech b'lo am, there's no king without a nation, which means the nation makes him king, so that when the Kodesh Baruch Hu chose the quality of being king, he guaranteed the Jewish people its existence, because we are the ones who consistently accept him as king. We make him king by pledging allegiance to him. Others don't. So in order to have that quality of king, there have to be those who make him king, who accept him as king. And we're the ones who are doing that. That makes our existence eternal, he said. The Ramchal says, the Derech Hashem, that this is like a disgrace. How could it be that the creator of the universe, whose existence is necessary and everything else is contingent because he makes it and didn't have to make it, how could it be that some quality of his depends upon us? Isn't that a disgrace? It's sort of like a 35-year-old father saying to his 5- and 6-year-old children, well, we do say, you made me a father. That's true. Without children, you can't be a father. Right? But you made me great, you made me significant, you made me successful. 5- and 6-year-old children, if they did, he's got a lot of problems. If that's how it happened, he's got a lot of problems. Right? And yet, by describing the relationship as husband and wife, the implication is, just as the husband is missing something without the wife, and vice versa, Kadosh Baruch Hu presents himself in his relationship to us as something which is missing our participation. And when our participation is available, it's like having a wedding. It's a gigantic, gigantic statement. That's what we were asking for, or wishing for, when we say this stanza. And now finally, we go back to the idea of the bride. Come in peace, the crown of her husband. Oh, I skipped one. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. To the right and the left, spread out. That's can be said both about the city of Jerusalem, because we are told that when the Mashiach comes, the city of Jerusalem will expand its boundaries. One Israel says to conclude the whole of the land of Israel. And the land of Israel will expand its boundaries to include the whole of the world. The holiness will spread everywhere, right to left. Or the Jewish people will increase and expand themselves to the right and to the left. And you should extol the might, ta'aritzi. I don't know if I have might gets in there. Should praise the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And this will happen according to the Mashiach, again with a different association for the Mashiach, he's descended from Peretz. And we will rejoice, and 2 words for our rejoicing. This comes after HaKadosh Baruch Hu rejoicing in the previous verse. And now you can say, pushing the idea of the Nefesh HaChaim, why are we happy? We're happy because he's happy. What was depressing us before is that he's unhappy. And now that he's happy, we're happy. The same very deep perspective is carried out here. I'm saying this because you see how high the Torah wants us to aspire to. I'm not saying this is something that we naturally feel all the time. It's a very, very sophisticated and elevated spirituality. But it's the kind of spirituality we should at least know about and think about and to have in mind and to hope for. Now we have come in peace, the crown of her husband. Yes, crown of her husband, they translate correctly, yeah. With joy, 2 types of joy, among the faithful of the unique nation, treasured people, come bride. There's a gigantic literature on this idea of the crown of her husband. The commentators point out that in the Song of Songs, the female in the Song of Songs is described by the male in 3 different ways. Biti, my daughter; Achosi, my sister; and Imi, my mother. And that means the boss is a child, an offspring, next generation, and younger and in need of care, and Achos is an equal, and a mother is superior. And you have these descriptions of the way the female relates to the male, and one of them is Ateres Bala, which is a pasuk, the crown of a king. Now, what does a crown do? Well, a crown gives kingship to the one who wears it. What is it that can give kingship? Golly, how does that work? Mustn't it be something that has the kingdom in itself and can confer it to another? And in the organization of the spiritual world, there are two female positions. There is a male position, and one female position is below, and one female position is above. And Yaakov had 2 wives, Rachel and Leah. And in this picture, Rachel is in a certain sense situated below him, and Leah is situated above him. So the female occupies a variety of different positions. There's enormous complexity in the female side of things, enormous versatility that can play a variety of roles, and there are verses that indicate that when the Mashiach comes, this side of superiority will come to the fore. And I'll take something now which I've said many times, and I'll just give it an extra twist. It's not me, this is what the literature says. We said that the flow comes down from the top, and in order for the flow to start, there has to be a connection all the way to the bottom, because the point of the flow is to go to the bottom. That's its purpose. So if you have 4 worlds, you don't attach 2 to 1 and say, let's have a flow from 1 to 2, and then, next week I'll get to putting up 3, and I'll go down to 3. No, until 4 is connected to 3, 3 to 2, and 2 to 1, nothing flows, because the purpose is to get down to 4. Okay, so now, on a similar ladder, there are higher layers. The next to last layer is male, and the bottom layer is female. And that means that Although, in a certain sense of the ladder, the female is at the bottom of the ladder, the point of the whole exercise is to get the flow through to the bottom. That's the point of it. So it means the male is a transmitter who brings it to the female stage at the bottom. But there's another idea here, and that is, since the whole purpose is to get it to the bottom, it's the bottom that's determining the whole flow. So why does the male figure above get it? Why does he get it? He gets it so that the bottom can have it. So who's more important here? Comes out that he's a transmitter. He's a transmitter so that it will get to the bottom. In that respect, the bottom layer is the one that's providing for the middle layer. The middle layer gets only because it has to get through to the. So sort of like say, you send a package with UPS, and UPS delivers it. Who's in charge here? UPS? Because you gave them the package? Not really. You sent it to a recipient. You sent it to your mother on her birthday. So it's going to your mother. That's why UPS is carrying it. Somebody says, why are you giving that guy in the truck with a package? What's he to you? How come you're handing it? No, I'm giving it to him to give to her. So that's one aspect of Ateres Bala. The fact that she is the one for whose sake the whole flow was instituted, and therefore she's the one who's causing him to have, is what's expressed by her being his crown. So it's just to illustrate this extremely complex system. And one can't draw conclusions from superficial snippets here and there. As is its customary, you glance at one page and then you write a critique and send it to the New York Times. Send it to the New York Times. It's not going to be appropriate. Yeah.
She's causing him to have because the flow has to go through him, therefore he gets some of it. Why can't it all go to her? Why, by definition, she's causing him? Why is by definition she causing him to have?
I don't know, there are two ways to take your words. One way I think I've answered already, and the other way perhaps not. If you're phrasing it as an objection, if she has to have, why in other words, this is the way in which the structure is set up to get it to her. Given that the structure is set up this way, if I ask, why is he getting? The answer is, he's getting in order that she should have, and he should deliver it to her. I don't think there's any objection. I don't hear any objection to that. How else will you read it? He doesn't keep it. He doesn't keep what he gets. He hands it over to her.
He ends up with nothing.
Well, he ends up being a transmitter. That's not nothing. UPS earns its money. His existence is to be a transmitter. She also transmits to the world, but he has no direct contact with the world. She gives out outside the ladder. There's a world. There's a whole created world, and that has to get through her. But this is what we call the side of Elokus, the side of divinity. She's part of this multiple complex structure of divinity. She's the bottom layer in the level of divinity, and she gives out to the created world. But since she's the one who's in the right position to give out to the created world, and since the source of this divine energy comes from a much, much higher level, which is then filtered down through other levels, each of the other levels is there to filter what's coming down so that she should have it, so she should give it out. But that means, if I ask, if there are 5 layers, I ask, why did number 3 get? Why did number 4 get? The answer is, so that number 5 should have. So then, it's her function of giving to the world that determines that it goes to number 4. If you ask me, why did the Kodesh Baruch Hu try to choose a 5-layer system? Why not a 2-layer system? Well, why did they do everything directly? That's a different question. But given the structure that I've described, it is simply true that he's getting in order to give to her. That's the role that he plays in the structure. Okay, that's Lechadoidi. Let's take a look at his Mashil Yom HaShabbos a little bit. There's some very, very interesting, beautiful things here. Now let's see how they translate this on the next page. It's good. I've told you Lahodos in Hebrew is ambiguous. Sometimes it means to thank, and sometimes it means to acknowledge. Here, I would guess it'd be appropriate to translate it both ways: to acknowledge the things that he does, and to give thanks for the ones that are, straightforwardly beneficial to individuals. And to sing to your high name. So here it's song, the zamer, not shir and shira. So this is the first time that we've had singing mentioned. By the way, they make fun of this. There's an expression in Yiddish, two expressions. One is zug a shir, say a shir, which would be poetry. That would be straightforwardly correct. You speak poetry. And then sometimes they say zug a niggin, say a tune. Well, the way they sing, that's the way they do it. It's like talking. But here specifically singing. Now, music is a very high expression and communication. The Sfarim talk about the fact that when you read a Sefer Torah, and you do it with the trup, with the musical notes, there are 4 elements to what's going on. There are the letters in the Sefer Torah. That's the lowest level. Of course, lowest could mean highest too. Okay, everything's complex. But anyway, for the lowest level, because it's more nigla, because it's more revealed, it's more open and appreciable by us. There's the letters. Next up is the crowns. Some letters have crowns, little triples of vavs clustered on the point of a letter. That's written, but doesn't have a direct impact on meaning. Then come the vowels. The vowels, this is tanta for those who know. The vowels affect the meaning very considerably, but they're not written. And then come the musical notes, which aren't written, and affect the meaning only indirectly because they are punctuation. And punctuation does have an effect on meaning, but a very minor effect on meaning. So of the 4, the musical is the highest. And this means the musical independently of the words. It's not part of the words. It's something, the way you communicate the words with music, and does, as I say, the indirect job of punctuation. And the Gaon of Vilna says that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai, he came down with music. Music is one of the wisdoms of the world, which you have to know in order to be able to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely. In the temple, there was music. There was an orchestra, there was a choir, and the services in the temple were done to music. So music is very important. And that's why, one of the reasons why Zmiras are important, and for those of you who started out, like I started out, not knowing a word of Hebrew or Aramaic, and singing the words by remembering the sounds of the syllables, and parsing the words wrongly, getting the breaks between the words wrongly, or certainly misunderstanding the words, but the music has its own significance. And I will tell you one thing about that. Many Jewish songs have a 4-part structure, which includes a repeat, what the magicians would call ABCB. It's 3 separate musical pieces, it's musical sets of notes, and then the 4th is identical to the 2nd. So that's why it would be an ABCB structure. And I ask people, and you could ask this question of others as well, do you know that structure? Is that structure familiar to you? The 1, 2, 3, 4, but 2 and 4 are the same. Most people puzzle about it and think about it. I tell them, you come in contact with it at least 100 times a day, maybe 200 times a day. A, B, C, B. I wonder where that is. Yeah, but it's the 4-letter name of God, the most proper name of God, Yud and a Hey and a Vav, and then a second Hey. And the fact that the music has that structure isn't an accident. When you're singing those musical compositions, you should have in mind that with the first section is a Yud, and the second section is a Hey, the third section is a vav, and the fourth section is the second hey. That's what you should have as you're going through in the music. So even if you don't understand the words, you can have in mind something which links you to something very high in the music. So take the music seriously. That's the message. And Shabbos is a time when that high expression is appropriate. And now comes a verse which is very famous because of a song, to declare in the morning your loving kindness and your faithfulness at night. So you hear right away that morning and night are not astronomical phenomena here. Morning refers to a time when God's presence and providence are open and visible and appreciable, and it's loving kindness in the sense that we can understand that it's loving kindness all the way back at the beginning of this series 2 months ago or more. We said in the first blessing of the Shemona Esrei, Chasadim Tovim, good loving kindnesses. And we asked, are there any other kind? Isn't loving kindness by definition good? What else could it be? And the answer we mentioned was that there are cases where HaKadosh Baruch Hu's loving kindness, you see right away how and why it's a loving kindness. You see what it builds and what it saves and what it inspires. There are times when it isn't so. Everything is loving kindness in the sense that it's designed to lead to the kind of perfection that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from the world. But that's what it leads to. In the meantime, that may not be obvious where it's leading to. It may be very painful. So then you don't see it. That's nighttime. Nighttime is a period when things happen, as we have experienced in this country recently, in a certain sense are continuing to experience. And there, what we celebrate is God's faithfulness, which is a cardinal element of Jewish belief, and if you study Jewish history, you can see it written out in detail, but there are periods of time where it isn't immediately visible. So that's the contrast here. This now mentions instruments. And the asor, the instruments have different numbers of strings. And the asor is one that has 10 strings. And 10, as you probably know, is a very important Jewish number. 10 contains a certain kind of completeness that other numbers don't contain. That's why there are 10 pronouncements at Sinai. That's why there are 10 pronouncements in the creation of the world. 10 carries that idea, and the idea that this instrument, some say, is reserved for the times of Mashiach, when that instrument will be able to be played. And then, they write higayon here as singing, accompanied with a kinor, which is a kind of harp. It could be. Higayon usually means verbalizing something, saying something. And Michal says in the Derech Hashem that the mitzvah of Talmud Torah includes, if it's Tanakh, saying the verses even if you don't understand them. Just saying the words of the verses counts as a performance of Talmud Torah. And the word he uses there is higayon. So higayon, I guess if it's picture accompanied by the harp, so then it might be song. Because you have caused me to rejoice, Hashem, with your actions, with the work of your hands, I will sing. How great are your actions, Hashem? Very greatly deep are your thoughts. So I want to teach you one little thing here. Look at the previous verse and this verse together. How great are your actions? I'm sorry. You have caused me to rejoice with your actions. With the work of your hands I will sing. How great are your actions? That's actions, actions, actions. 3 times, right? And then comes, very deep are your thoughts. So you have 3 times actions and then once thoughts. And the thoughts are described as deep. And not only deep, but very deep. Now, what word is the word for very? Ma'od. Ma'od amku machshavosecha, right? The letters of Ma'od are Adam. Aleph, Dalet, Mem. That's the deep thought. The deep thought is Adam. Adam is the purpose of the whole creation. 3 actions, and then Adam is the depth of thought. We saw this before in L'chadodi. Sof ma'aseh machshava tchila. In the end of action is the first in thought. Here you have it in a verse, that Adam is the one who's the very deep thought that's behind the the creation. Okay, I'm going to leave it there for now. Tomorrow we'll pick it up here.